On a roll, aren't you, Disney? Artemis Fowl stars Ferdia Shaw as Artemis Fowl Jr. to Colin Farrell Sr. living on the Emerald Isle. Jr., as we'll call him, is an impossibly intelligent mastermind like he came out of the womb with a PhD. He reads Einstein when he's bored, and on the side, cryptozoology about goblins, fairies, etc., all just in time for Colin Farrell to exit the movie with some help as he can cash in his check while being blamed for stealing all of the world's most valuable treasures except for the Declaration of Independence. That was Nicolas Cage. Jr. is called by something named Opal. Opal threatens to kill Senior unless Junior can acquire the Aculos, the one MacGuffin to rule them all. If Junior fails, then Senior will be swallowed up by bad CGI. So begins another series for Disney to siphon off of because it couldn't possibly fail, right? Since I can't read, I'll ignore this movie was based on books and judge the movie itself. From the get-go, this is another film starting with some sort of ending. This time from a dwarf with gigantism who has been told to be captured by MI6 and narrate the whole story doing his best Batman impression. Why does Disney think children are stupid and can't think for themselves? Oh, wait a second, just had a thought. How did you know about the parts you and Junior weren't there for? No, get back here, you little... Whatever, the dwarf looks like Hagrid had a son whose sole purpose is to annoy and nothing else. The story focuses on Junior for a short while before shifting focus to the fairy world. This is a hard shift and it can be confusing because the world isn't explained well. Basically, Jules Verne was real close as the center of the earth is not filled with giant dinosaurs, instead it's fairies, dwarves, goblins, etc. I mentioned Ireland earlier, but there are no leprechauns. Instead, it's leprechauns. I don't know what the acronym means, and I just couldn't care. We're introduced to a fairy named Holly Short, who works on the leprechauns force to clear her father's name. Holly works under Judi Dench, also doing her best Batman impression, and looks so terrible I thought she was going to ask Mike Wazowski for his paperwork. When trying to be an engaging kids movie, you need to get at least two things right. Action for engagement and the world for wonder. On top of everything else you could do, of course. Here, there are more cuts in the action than even Liam Neeson needed to get over a fence. Logistics are thrown out the window like a cigarette during a Washington state drought. For example, a troll attacks a wedding in Italy like he's casting for Harry Potter. Then, the fairies fly in to stop it. Seems straightforward enough, right? Alright, but the fairy world is in the center of the earth. How do the fairies reach the surface world? It's quite simple. They launch themselves up through volcanoes in metal capsules. Alright, if all magical creatures reside in the hollow earth, then how did the troll get up there? The troll is dumber than a sack of potatoes. Are you saying the tunnels are empty and unguarded? How did he sneak through an entire city and up to a wedding without anyone noticing? Moving on, in the middle of the chaos, a fairy brigade wipes out everyone's minds like Will Smith fired the noisy cricket. Okay, hold on again. Is this all science, magic, or both? The fairies own technology like they have a trade deal with Wakanda, yet they can use magic? If you have magic, then why use science at all? This is another major failing of Artemis Fowl. Being based on a series of books, it makes sense there is a lot to unpack. The movie doesn't explain this. It is clear we only see the tip of the iceberg that is the world of Artemis Fowl. This film attempts to tackle that iceberg like the Titanic with the same results. To quickly round back to the action, as I mentioned before, it's horrible. At one point, an armada of fairies storms the Fowl Manor to retrieve Holly. Instead of laying waste to the place, the whole force is repelled by Junior and his butler. You're telling me this 12-year-old manages to physically fight back a technologically and magically superior invading force of coordinated creatures that can fly near Mach 1 and stop time? None of this makes sense. The kid's two weapons are his hair being twice the size of his head and puberty hitting him like John Connor in Terminator 2. How? We are shown earlier that Holly is flying from Italy to Ireland in 2 hours or so. That puts her at roughly the speed of a 747. How is Junior not a red streak across their marble patio? The wire tricks are terrible too. The one that stood out the most to me was the butler being thrown with full force into the furniture. It was more like he was softly tossed onto a chair with the structural integrity of a toothpick as the reserve safety wire is pulled to tilt him 15 degrees mid-air so he could land on his pads. They didn't even try to hide it. I went into this film blind metaphorically, and after finishing, I wish it was literally. Artemis Fowl is horrible, and at this point, Disney should start paying us to watch their films. How is it that with more money than God, Disney couldn't hire writers that could figure out how to make this world work? There's an entire series of books to reference, and just over a century of movie-making experience, and this is just another piece of trash to throw away. Oh well, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like, share, and subscribe for more weekly movie reviews, and I'll see you next time.